Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the broadcast. It's the Sheldon McLeod Show on News 95.7. Matt Brand is our producer. We have not yet come up with our Twitter poll question of the day. I don't think. No, we didn't. Okay. Coming up this half hour, we'll hear from Dr. David Suzuki. We'll be chatting with Dr. Tara Wright after the 2:30 news. And Elizabeth May at 2:45, Green Party leader who's in Nova Scotia for campaigning. Reasons, of course, we're in the midst of an election campaign. A couple, as a matter of fact. Just before the break, we spoke with another of the 10 folk who want to represent the riding of, or the District 15 in Lower Sackville. And as mentioned, 10 people on the ballot. It's going to be a very busy ballot, and our next guest is also one of those looking to take on this role. David Boyd is in our studio. Mr. Boyd, thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you very much for inviting me here.
So your background, for people who don't know, what's your vocation? What's your interest in politics, if we will?
Okay, well, my background is currently I'm a cab driver. I've been doing that for about a decade now, over a decade. Mm-hmm. And prior to that, I was in the computer industry as well as in marketing and management of many companies.
So how will that help you as a counselor if you're successful?
Well, as a counselor, right now I work in I work with a lot of volunteer groups in the community, and I do a lot of work. I also worked on the Sackville Days snow parade. So a lot of people in the area of Lower Sackville, as well as throughout the HRM, have asked me to put myself forward, and it's mainly the people behind the scenes who are asking me to get in the race, and that's mainly why I've decided to follow their lead and join the race. And I figure my background with working with people on a daily basis, driving the cab, you see politics firsthand, it would be a great advantage for the community of Lower Sackville.
You know, we've had people, some of the 10 who've never run for office before. We've had others who've tried their hand for provincial politics. You've had your name on many ballots.
Yeah, I started in 1999 as actually a councillor for Upper Sackville. And I ran twice out there. I've ran all levels of government. I ran federally, provincially. And I also had nomination for the Senate at one time. I was actually nominated twice for the Senate. Not nominated, but put on a list for nomination.
So with that in mind, you, as well as anyone knows, not everyone who puts their name forward can be successful. So that said, moving your campaign forward, how do you stand up? How do you get recognized when there are 9 other people who are all looking for the same job?
Well, it's basically the old-fashioned way that's always worked. You knock at the doors and you see the people. If you just put a sign up in the corner and expect that to do your job, it's not going to do it. I have to do things like radio shows here, do discussions, and I've been on many discussions, groups, chats, stuff like that. And that's the way you have to be active. You can't just sit back and expect because you're running for office, people are going to vote for you.
David Boyd is here, one of the 10 candidates running in the special election for Sackville coming up on October 5th on the Saturday. So what are you hearing as the issues in Lower Sackville?
Wow, there's a lot of issues here. I have a lot of seniors live in the community. They work with various, like the Lions Club and Kinsman. They've told me a lot of problems of seniors that the taxes are too high, the fees are too high on things like water runoff. They feel that seniors are being left out of the HRM. And I want to be a voice for them. And they're not just asking for things now; they're demanding their rights. And they are, as seniors, they should have a lot of more discounts and breaks for seniors. And I'd like to see that happen.
So how do you then make it happen? As one of 16 people on council, you have a vote. You're not able to perhaps. In some areas of politics, it's a little bit easier to have your voice heard. So how do you make things happen for people in Sackville?
Well, making things happen is I find out who's in charge, the heads of departments, stuff like that. And I also have to influence other councillors. So I bring a lot of these problems are not just Sackville-based problems; they are HRM-based problems. And definitely we got to find out if there's other ways of making revenue other than taxing seniors and putting high fees on water runoff and stuff like that.
David Boyd in our studio, as you say, number of issues. There's only a small window of opportunity. There's another election in 2020, in October 2020. So whoever is successful will be doing this again within a year's time. So how do you prioritize as to what is the most important? What is it that you want to make sure you accomplish in that first year?
Well, what I hear from every single person is traffic is a big problem. Now, other people who have been on the air here before have mentioned speed, but that's not the whole problem. The problem is actual traffic calming. You've got to redesign streets. You've got to have sidewalks. There's a lady that lives at the bottom of, I believe it's Stokell, and her granddaughter goes to school on top of the hill, and there's no sidewalk. It's a really narrow street, and people go really fast there. So what I want to do is accomplish, get a traffic study done and find ways to build maybe circades, have speed bumps, other things other than just a sign that's to slow down, because it does work, but you need to go further. You have to study why are people speeding. Some streets may even have to be blocked off and have a barricade at the end to keep people from shortcutting through the avoid lights. A lot of people do that. I find out that they shortcut through certain streets, and it makes it more dangerous for the residents that live there, and we got to maybe re-examine that.
David Boyd joining the conversation, one of 10 who was looking for your vote if you're in Lower Sackville. Electronic voting, that's a little different. Does that change the way you campaign? It's a little different than perhaps the way that people have been able to vote for you in the past.
One thing I do compliment the city on saving paper that way, because we need to start reducing paper. Where our trees are disappearing, and they say right now we're burning 10 times more trees than we're creating. So I think what we have to do is we have to actually educate people more at the door. You tell them that it's going to be a new, different type of voting. Seniors, it's a little bit of a hurdle, but I tell them there's going to be help at the voting stations. There'll be people there to, hold them hand, pretty much show them, not tell them how to vote for, but show them how to vote. And it also helps a lot of people that are shut-ins and people that just can't get out and vote, showing them that now there's more opportunities for them than there would be just the old-fashioned way.
We've also chatted with some of the other candidates because there's a federal election underway too, that for some has caused some confusion. Does that change anything for you campaigning while there's another election on?
Yeah, it's a different style. Like normally, every campaign, pretty much every campaign I've been, there's been another election on. There's either been a provincial election. It just seems the elections seem to happen around the same time. And what is, you have to try to make people who are confused by the issues. A lot of people I find have anger right now. They're really angry with both federal parties. Some people with that, the incident that Trudeau had there, I didn't think it was such a big issue, but some people made it worse than it was, and they're telling them, thinking that all politicians are bearing that thing, and that is the biggest problem, that you have to explain to people that federal politics are different, and we're more local, and we have to try to, have tolerance on both sides. And that's what my job as a city councillor is, to be a mediator between the bridge between the people, the government, and the issues.
Why do you want to be a councillor?
I want to be a councillor because I feel it's a chance to give back to the community. Sackville and the HRM in general has done so much for me. It's allowed me, I worked here my life working in the industry of business management and taxi industry and communications, and I just want to give something back to the community that I can see. If I have 20 things and only one that gets accomplished, but there's one thing that's for the good, I feel that I've done my job, and that's what I want to do for the people.
We've been giving everyone about the same amount of time. Obviously, we're just about to the end of ours here, and David Boyd has mentioned one of 10 running for municipal by-election in Sackville District 15. So where are people finding out more about David? How are you giving people the information if they're not meeting you on the doorstep?
The easiest way is just do a Google search. You can search, there'll be tons of information on myself. Specifically, narrow your search down to David Boyd for Lower Sackville, and I have a website as well, which is www.davidfboyd.ca.
David Boyd in our studio, and I did notice you had mentioned something about campaign finance changes to the rules, and that may or may not affect the way people are able to donate.
I think it's good to have more tracking. Do you have a list now? Before it was just general, and you'd see people, and also prevents also the same rules as the rest of you. Can't have corporations or trade unions. You can have members of trade unions donate to your campaign. Myself is totally self-funded. I've had not one person sponsor, and I'm not actively looking to get money from people to help my campaign. They can donate after the fact if they like, but mainly I think the new financing rules are good, and I think that it should be exposed. There should be no more hidden saying, JYC gave X number of dollars, and I like the fact that it explains where it's going. You want to see if it's going to the signs or gas or etc. And I like the new fact that it is improved.
All right. Well, good luck in the special election. David Boyd, thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
We're going to take a break and back in just a moment to hear from David Suzuki. Back after this. There's world news.